Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's TRI Crypto Top 100 Review. TRI's Crypto Countdown. TRI's Crypto Tastes Great. Episode 73. Wow, can't believe we're humming along here. I think we're live. I'm just going to check because actually I went through about a minute and a half intro there and somebody said, by the way, Brian, I don't think you're live. So let's see what happens. I went through about a minute and a half intro there. Looks like we're actually live. Hey, there's Joshua over there. On YouTube, got a big old 3 people on YouTube. And, oh well, we'll have fun. There's usually a good few hundred people that watch this through the week. So I'm sure somebody gets some value out of this out of there. So I'm going to munch on my dinner here while we're talking. But good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Frivolity. Another exciting week of crypto. I was just pointing out that my show co-hosts have done such a great job helping me put together these spreadsheets and things like our crypto a little app that Ben's put together. It was a lot of fun doing this show on a weekly basis. And my show co-hosts are pretty solid. Totally awesome little crew that we got going here. Speaking of which, maybe let's give some shout-outs and see if the crew is here tonight. So, first off, from the mountains of Romania. Are there mountains in Romania? I don't know. Anyway, our Romanian mountain man, mountain moon man. I don't know. We got a fun new name for him. Paul, are you here this morning? It's morning in Romania.
Good morning. And
There
yes,
is.
we have mountains.
And he has mountains.
And I'm pretty damn close to some mountains in
Oh,
this
yeah?
area.
You live pretty
Yep.
close to a mountain range?
Yeah.
Okay, right on. Well, there you go. So maybe Paul's affinity for mountain man levels, 61.8 fibs. Obviously, so we're appealing to... Oh, boy. Just dropped a picture off my
From
desk.
my window, I can see a ski slope.
Oh, cool.
So-
Hey, there you go. And there's Mountain Man coming down on a snowboard. Woohoo! Party! So, Paul's here. Right on. Let's have some fun. And Ben. Do we have Ben on the call this evening? Are you here?
Sure
Ben?
do.
Hey, there he is. Awesome.
Hey.
How are you this evening, sir?
I'm great. I'm doing great.
Lots of snow for the kids in Florida this year? For Christmas?
It's a little less than sweltering, so we're
A little less than sweltering. Oh, there you go.
we're pretty bundled up. We don't know how to handle it.
All right. So, does it ever get to a point in time where you don't wear shorts where you live, or is it does it actually get to the point where you actually have to put on some clothes?
For some people will. Yeah,
What's
I
funny
just
is
don't
when
think
you
some
see the
people have it.
alligators going down the street in a pair of jeans. Then you know it's cold.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know whether you can see on my screen. This is most abnormal. We're on the Pacific Ocean here in the Pacific Northwest, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It never gets this cold. This is insane. This is so bad because, I've got, and I don't know, it's just probably irresponsible of me, but it almost never gets this cold and it never gets icy on the roads. I don't bother going and getting snow tires. It's just such a waste of money, in my opinion. But nonetheless, these very few days of the year, it always comes back to haunt me. We'll have like a week out of the year where I'm like basically homeward bound. And if I showed you pictures, I don't know whether I could show you a picture of looking outside my window here in downtown beautiful British Columbia. But holy moly, snowmageddon. It never snows like it does here. So right now, so very, very cold right now, very abnormal. Wondering what the hell all this nonsense about this global warming crap is. Really, I don't think they have a clue what it is either. Those people. Anyway, great way to pump up Tesla automobile manufacturing car stock, and guys like that BlackRock guy make a ton of money feeding everybody this ESG thing. And then as soon as he sells his stock, mysteriously he goes, Oh, well, actually, you know what? We're going to leave ESG comments up to local politicians. We would prefer not to make a comment anymore. Ah, what a crock. Oh, well.
Well, we don't need to worry about global warming anymore because what is it? Nuclear fusion or fusion energy is
Yeah. Well,
is
and
on its
then
way.
you go on YouTube and all this sort of science guys all go, well, it's sort of a breakthrough, but not really. So, if anything, what I'm hearing is there's a lot of, we're just not ready to move away from fossil fuel economies. And what you see in Germany right now, basically they packed up, they mothballed all their nuclear reactors and everything, and now look at the mess that they're in. And I thought it was really interesting on the site. Of course, we do daily videos. Anybody who's sort of watching us on YouTube, and one of the videos, I don't know how I would show you this. One of the videos, I don't know. There I am. His YouTube page is rock and roll. One of the videos that I've been sort of suggesting that people on the site watch, crypto. And frankly speaking, I think she's a really nice lady, and I think she's got a good heart. And I think these are the kind of people in crypto that we should be listening to, not the yahoos like that stupid university professor kid. I don't even want to say his name. But this lady here, she was saying, a really good example. She lives in Wyoming because, it's interesting. TRI's U.S. corporation is actually based in Wyoming. So we actually have an address pretty close to where she is. But she's starting up a bank called Custodia. And she has people that sort of are in Denver, in Colorado, and they take a 90-minute car ride north to her in Wyoming. And they drive their fancy Tesla cars, but then they can't charge them up. And it takes them about 14 hours to recharge their car to get back to Denver, which I thought was very funny. But a very, very telling anecdote that we're just not ready to move away from this fossil fuel society, even though, of course, all the sort of bankster one percenters, they would love to promote that shill. But anyway, we're not here to talk energy. We're not here to talk about how crappy the world is. We're here to talk about crypto and how awesome crypto is. And like I said, if you have the chance, and I think this was the screen I'm showing. Yeah, if you have the chance, do yourself a favor and watch this video. That is a very, very good interview. I tweeted it out on my own tweet. I'll put the link in the video. I'm not quite sure how this works though, but I'll put it in there. I see Josh is just sitting there by himself. Poor old Joshua. Anyway, there is the link to that video. I suppose I should put it in like the description. How they do that? They point down and they go, put it in the field here. One thing I'm actually quite curious about, I'm a little surprised, is for some reason I can't get my my camera to work tonight. It's on. I can see that it's on, which is a little scary. Maybe I have to reboot my computer. So, unfortunately, no pretty mug from the Beamish tonight for you. But maybe while Paul is giving his presentation, I could jimmy it around and trying to make it work. I don't know. I don't want to screw up the broadcast, though. So we just might not have a picture from Brian tonight. Which is too bad because I saw Ben had his camera on. He's looking as handsome as always. And I don't want him to feel awkward on the camera by himself. But anyway. All right, so where do we begin here tonight? I suppose the first place we should begin is how we did in predicting what was going to happen this coming week. Fascinating how we were all kind of looking uppy and the market punched us in the nose with a big downy. Yuck, jerks. I tell you, historically, usually coming out of that options expiry, futures contract expiry, index options, they call it quadruple witching. It happens on these big quarterly contracts, March, December, September, and June, and it's the third Friday of the month. Usually you have a lot of fireworks through that. And then we get into sort of the week before Christmas, and this is usually what they call Santa Claus rally, and usually there's a nice little sort of, you know, people are in relatively good mood, and the market is feeling kind of uppy. I get the impression that the stock market is trying to initiate that Santa Claus rally. Here's the good old Bitcoin. If we, actually, this is the crypto page. If we pop on over to the futures, for example, here's the Bitcoin futures. And if we scroll down to things like the stock market, like if we just look at the Dow, for example, you can see they are trying to bring her back. So this was the whole Fed FU. This was the options and futures expiry. I put out a bunch of tweets sort of saying, well, we should now see the market turn. And so what does the market do? It just punches Brian in the face and lower highs and lower lows and just keeps grinding Brian into the ground, just pissing him off to no end. And now we're finally getting the rally. And, you know, the market rallied like, 500 points or something today alone. I think I've made the argument to you guys recently. It'd be interesting, you know, while Paul's maybe doing his presentation, I'll go and find the data. But I do believe that the heaviest open interest in these Bitcoin CME futures, but in the options on the futures, is still 10,500 up to 11,000, or 10,000, sorry, 17,500. Up to 18,000, and this expires December 29th. So that is basically right there. So I do, call me crazy, and of course many people do, so you wouldn't be the first. And actually we're going to even do a show next Wednesday. You know, it's Snowmageddon here. Basically I'm locked in. I'll go and spend as much time with Liam as I can, but, you know, I'm not going to be traveling a lot, so I don't see any reason why I wouldn't be at my post next Wednesday. So I think we'll probably try and do a show next week as well. But I believe it or not, call me crazy. I still believe that this silly market's going to be up in this window here, and really it should be above that 18,000 by next Thursday, I guess. I guess the only thing that sort of leads me to believe that maybe, you know, with the Bitcoin options open interest, it's not as big of a deal, is that these are still cash settled. It's not a physical Bitcoin delivery. And I thought, and you know, the sad part about it is if you go and listen to that lady, she's actually from the banking industry, right? Like she's actually starting a bank in Wyoming for crypto people. And she talks a lot about the rehypothecation. I always ask Chris to help me remember that word. It's such a big word. I mean, like my grade 2 education, it's kind of tough for me to remember those big words. So I do see, and you could make the argument that half of the reason why these fly-by-night, I guess we'll call them, cryptocurrency exchanges. I mean, it's so funny how you now say that FTX and that whole thing is now past tense. I mean, it's quite remarkable how it happens in this space. And actually, she made reference. I've completely forgotten making reference to it for all of you guys. But you want, you know, and I go on repeatedly that FTX is nothing more than Mt. Gox. It's exactly the same scandal, like literally no different. And she reminded us in this video about Quadriga. It's exactly the same, exactly the same scandal. No different. I mean, you really have to understand that, people. This FTX guy, you may think he's a big smarty pants, but it's the same con job that they've been pulling off for like literally hundreds of years. In fact, there was even a specific reference that they actually had for when they used to do exactly the same thing in the banking industry back in like the 19th century. I think they called it like wildcat banking or something like that. It's identical. People deposit a whole bunch of money into the bank, and the bank owners just go and spend all the money. Woohoo! Yeah, well, Great Delmini says, don't forget Crapsy. Remember Crapsy? That's what we're supposed to call it. Cryptopia mysteriously was hacked. What a convenient way to get out of that whole problem, eh? Just say that your exchange was hacked and somebody stole all the coins. What a crock. Oh, I swear, these silly humans are so cliche. It's ridiculous. Anyway, it is what it is. It's a good video. It is a very, very good video. And I have to say, I'm not familiar with this gentleman. Pretty fancy schmancy. This is a guy who's poured probably like $500,000 into his video production. I mean, look at this thing. Holy moly. You could launch a rocket off of that set. Look at all this. Look at that fancy schmancy camera and everything. Can you imagine if we could get Paul on camera like this? Is there any chance Paul will get a setup like this for you in Romania?
Yeah,
He's not here.
why not?
No comment?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? All right. Paul, the Romanian Mountain Moon Man. I think that's my new name for Paul. Romanian Mountain Moon Man. Anyway, so it was a good video. I thought it was very enlightening, and I thought this lady is very, very sharp, very smart, and probably the one message that all of you crypto enthusiasts should take away from this is January 3rd is a very important date in crypto land. And I'd be curious, Ben, any idea what the hell January 3rd is? I think it's January 3rd. Maybe January 4th. Any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Paul, any idea?
No.
January 3rd is Proof of Keys Day.
Yeah, I
Notch
remember
your
that, but I
keys,
forgot.
notch your coins. That day.
So they're still doing that.
Yeah, well, and actually she's a buddy with Trace Mayer. So that would make sense, right?
Okay.
That was a big sales pitch for him. And actually, you don't really hear about him too much anymore, right? So
No.
I suppose when Bitcoin crossed 50 G's, he vaulted into the stratosphere wealth-wise. He's often on Mars right now, hanging out on the colony. Anyway. And actually, that brings up an interesting conversation. And I'd be curious just to get your guys' feedback. But what do you think? You think this Binance place is going to make it? Who wants to stick their neck in that news first?
In my view, I guess yes. Why not?
Yeah?
I don't see at this point. I don't see any reason
No.
to.
He put up a pretty good defense. It was interesting listening to the CNBC crew, and the CNBC crew is kind of like they're reporters, and especially her. Man, I've watched Becky Quick since she literally came right out of college. And she was added to the CNBC crew with all the older crowd. So, I mean, I've watched CNBC forever. I mean, it's interesting how she's now, just by body language there, she's now, I guess, deemed some sort of financial expert. She rolls her eyes here, and so all of a sudden, she seems to know better than anybody else in the world and all that. I don't buy it. I mean, what I find fascinating with these guys is Joe Kernan's been around forever. I mean, I would have thought Joe Kernan, being right at the heart of capitalism, he should have been so frickin' wealthy. And it's surprising he's still showing up at that show. Either he must get paid just ridiculous amounts of money to do the show. What I find with these guys is that they always talk after the fact. And, keep in mind, CNBC was owned by General Electric for a very long time. And the entire time that they were owned by General Electric, they were never allowed to say boo about GE. And, of course, it turns out Jack Welch, that was all just horse shit what he was doing there. And, he almost broke GE after the sort of truth was revealed. So, I mean, I don't know how to interpret this. It's weird because, there was one gentleman on the site. I can't remember. I always forget his name. Anyway, he was in Portugal, and in Portugal there was a crypto sort of conference, and CZ was there. And he said, CZ, he actually came across as a really down to earth, really approachable guy. And he said he said something here that just made her roll her eyes. Oh well, crypto accounting is different than real world accounting. Real world accountants don't understand crypto. And I think that's what caused her to roll her eyes. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting debate and it's fascinating. Before the fact, if you had asked, well, is Quadriga about to go under? I mean, most people would be like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. And then, last summer, if you ask somebody, well, is this SBF guy full of horse hockey and it's all a scam? I don't think a lot of people would have, said yes. So, I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, Binance could be on the brink of blowing up tomorrow. We just don't know. I had sort of said in the show video today on the site, I mean, really all that matters is, does he have, if customers want to withdraw their money, does he have the money to let them withdraw their money or their Bitcoins or whatever? If he doesn't, then and unfortunately these things die like that. They just poof, gone. So keep your eyes peeled. If anything, I started off the broadcast with kind of like, welcome to crypto winter. This is exactly what crypto winters look like. And then the irony of it all is that, we'll spend, and really what this is it's coming back to my funny little chart that I keep showing you guys. It's like literally impossible to get you guys not to buy up at the top. Whatever the hell I have it. I reorganized all these things to try and make it easier to find stuff. I don't think it's made it even harder. I guess that's this right here, the 4-year cycle. Almost impossible to stop you guys from buying up top here. And it was almost impossible to stop people from buying up here. Almost impossible. So, here we are. Now, ironically enough, it will be almost impossible to get you guys to actually invest. And I wouldn't say our audience, like the people who actually probably watch this video, I think you probably get this whole idea of buying against down markets, selling against up markets, blah blah blah. But the general public, now it will be almost impossible to get them to buy. And unfortunately, anybody who did sort of take a chance on crypto, odds are they bought somewhere up here and they're dying 1,000 deaths right now. Which is kind of tragic, but it is what it is. So, crypto winter is all about the FUD, right? And if you don't know what FUD means, it stands for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So in essence, people are fearful, they're very uncertain, they're very doubtful, and in that case, a lot of people just actually end up running into their holes and burying their heads and just saying, la 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 la, I don't know, go away. And then unfortunately, the people that are kind of like, man, if this thing blows up, well, then it blows up, and it's gone. Probably have heard that expression before. So, ironically enough, and if you're a regular watcher, you know exactly sort of what's coming next. But ironically enough, we know that these markets have to basically come back down to value. And since Bitcoin is a commodity, actually, it makes it pretty simple to figure out what the heck value is. So I like to use this one gentleman's script. His name is Shane. I think that's erroneous, though. I don't think that's the S19. Maybe it is. I thought that was the S17. Anyway, this is Shane's script, and I think he said that the newest one is this S19XP. I also saw though, and so this you can see these metrics, and it's a script that you can get on TradingView. So you don't even have to overthink this. You can just go on TradingView. Bitcoin cost of production (COP). What I find interesting, like this is the most recent sort of version of the graphics cards, I guess, for lack of a better term, probably the SX cards. And its cost of production, you can see $8,600 on this particular variable set. I think a lot of the public are still up here. I thought this was the S17. No, I don't think it was the S19. But anyway, I could have that. Oh, there's S17 there. Oh, so I think I have these things backwards. Something like that. So I think most of the public that would be interested in Bitcoin, especially with the hyperinflation in our society, if anything, probably not a bad idea to use miners to heat your house. Might be cheaper than using, especially in Europe. Like if you had solar panels running miners, that might be an efficient way to heat your house. And completely avoid things like natural gas. So anyway, I don't know whether these are exactly right, but I do like this script and I like this thinking. I think it's a, if you through the whole gold correction here, the typical cost of production for an ounce of gold is about $1,000. So big surprise, gold price bottomed out about 150% of that number. So these kind of scripts that kind of help you sort of visualize what is the value for a commodity. Public using old equipment, they're probably getting flushed out, and frankly, they're probably having to turn their machines off. And then, of course, you see what's happening in Europe, energy and stuff. POW is going to be considered like a pariah, and I would imagine a lot of people are going to be encouraged not to mine Bitcoin in Europe. What I am hearing is that this actually is even a bit generous. And I put out recently, quite shocking really, because I didn't think it was this bad, but I guess it makes sense. If you have economies of scale and you can sort of work deals with your local utilities, you should be able to have a pretty darn low cost of production. And so this company here, Terra Wolf, these are public companies, so they have to report consistently. And of course, it's not OTC like a lot of stuff that's down in the States, a bulletin board and stuff, where they don't have to tell you the truth. These guys are actually listed on a big board, so they kind of have to report. This is listed on the NASDAQ. In their latest filing here, you can see, it's as plain as day. You can see their electricity costs. But this here is the huge headline that jumped out at me. $6,300 per coin. Now, what usually happens in these kind of scenarios is the price won't go back to $6,300. These companies will want to maintain some sort of profit margin. And there probably are enough players in the space that are running some of these higher priced equipment that, once we get down into this neighborhood, all of the marginal players, all the public, they'll all be sort of washed out. But we'll be left. Keep in mind, this guy right here, he says he's got like 14,000 miners. 14,000 miners. That's crazy. What is it? What's this say here? Self-mining target to 44,000 owned miners. What? From its prior estimate of 36,000 owned miners. Ay caramba. That's a player if I've ever heard one. And I think they were saying that just even in the first quarter, they were adding something like 14,000 of these new super duper, and I think they're like the J series, right? 14,000 S19J Pros. I don't know what the hell the cost of production is. I don't even think we have the SJ Pro. This we finished off at the XP. So I don't know where the SJ fits in there. But point of the matter is that price, in bear markets, and what's beautiful, and again, if we go back and listen to Caitlin, she said it in glorious Technicolor. It was beautiful listening to her. That, this whole darn market moves in a 4-year cycle, and there's no reason why to think that. Where the hell did she go? Oh, well, I guess I put her away. Oh, here she is over here. And she's like, there's no reason to think that there's any change to this 4-year cycle. And then, to add insult to injury, if you understand these 4-year cycles, then we know that, of course, we got the next halvening event coming up in sort of first, second quarter of 2024. And then it was interesting, somebody on Twitter the other day, and I was kind of pointing out that, and I can't remember where the heck it was. It was one of these tweets. Somebody tweeted back. In fact, actually, maybe I can do it up here. Somebody tweeted back, well, do you think, Brian, that that Bitcoin and its cycles and stuff moves in conjunction with... what the hell is that? Tweets and replies? I don't know what this is. Is there any logic to here, Brian, and this is Sunny. If it's just, this is my buddy Sunny from Belgium. The crazy motorcycle forex trader turned actually pretty good trader. We got him turned around correctly. Professional fib and volume profile analyst. That's interesting. So way to go, Sonny. Anyway, crypto linked to something bigger like the actual liquidity cycle of the US dollar, which actually matches crypto bubbles in the past? And the answer is yes. Absolutely. This is the whole premise. What you need to do if you're market participants and you're just starting to learn this game is you have to connect the dots with these 4-year cycles and the cost of money cycle. This is how the whole damn game works. If we are in a falling interest rate environment, then venture cap gets a lot of money thrown at it because people can borrow here, and they know that 6-8 months from now, they're going to, maybe they borrow 1-year paper. And they know that if it's a falling interest rate environment, and this orange is the corporate interest rates, the purple is your beloved CHIPA! And the Fed funds, doofuses. And you can always see that they're late. They always are dragging their heels. The market always is right. This is, if anything, this is a really good image that the market is always the final arbiter. The public thinks that, it's Chair Powell who's screwing us. And it's the banksters. Well, all the banksters are doing is they're just trying to play catch up and not let the corporate interest rate market get out of control. But anyway, the point here is that this moves in a very predictable 4-year cycle. And we just went through a troughing period or a very, very low period in interest rates. And we're going through a rising period of interest rates, or basically the cost of money itself is going up on a daily basis. So if you borrowed money here and then you, let's say just 1-year paper and you had to pay it back and you have to re-borrow, you're going to have to borrow at a higher rate. It's going to cost you more money. So because of that, a lot of venture capital people are like, you know what, just pack it up. We will wait until money gets cheap again. Or cheap's not the right word. We will wait till the trend in the cost of money is moving to less cost, and then that way we can roll positions over at a favorable rate, i.e., this is basically free money in here. And we're just not in that part of the cycle. And you can see, and this is the interesting thing, like, can you connect the dots with Bitcoin? Notice that this cycle troughs right around next summer. And remember, we know that Bitcoin loves to bottom about 6 to 8 months ahead of its halvening cycle. And let's pop on over and look at Ben's awesome app. Awesome. Tastes great. Where's Ben's awesome app? And, you know, to keep it as simple as possible, I really like to show people this image because Ben's made it nice and clean. You know, Brian has a bad habit of using all crazy lines and stuff, and so it gets awfully confusing. There's the halvening event, right? You can see 6 months or so ahead of that halvening event, that's when you want to start accumulating. And then this one was really great, you know, 6 to 8 months ahead of that halvening event, that's when you want to start accumulating. So, you know, we are sort of going through this period right now, but, you know, like, notice, you know, this says, what does that say? January 23, March 23? I can't read what that says. Geez, old man-itis. Point here is we're not here yet. We're just coming into this window. But we're now into the window where actually we should start thinking about Bitcoin price bottoming. And, you know, the good part about these cycles, like these money cycles, is that time is the healer of all wounds. At some point, we will actually get to the point where the Fed is done raising interest rates. And we will actually have to go through a falling interest rate environment. And once we get into that environment, you better be loaded up with all your crypto and have all your names all researched, and you've got all your trading plan. You know what setups you like to trade. You know, if you're a higher time frame player, maybe you're halfway through building positions, little old lady style kind of thing. You have to know like who all the key players are and the projects are that are going to be in play through this cycle and go and make your fortune. And just like Caitlin said here, there's no difference. The one thing that's really interesting about her perspective is that she's actually talking a lot about Lightning Network. And I get the impression the public has basically forgotten about Lightning Network. And she's saying that slowly but surely, behind the scenes, huge players are building massive nodes on the Lightning Network. All totally the public is not paying attention whatsoever. And like she's, you know, she wants to be one of those major players. And so she's gone and bought like an on-ramping bank, this Custodia. And it, you know, if it is an equity offering in the public market, you want to see what these, yeah, I mean, this is a really good analogy of what stocks that are in the right place at the right time through these crypto cycles can do. So here's Bitcoin, BTC USD, and we'll just look at a stock. Whoops, what have I got here? BTC. And sorry, Paul and Ben, I'm talking way too much tonight, I know. But here, let's just get rid of all this. Okay, so there's your Bitcoin. And you know, this isn't a bad move. I know one guy in particular. We used to do he used to direct our shows, so obviously he listened and became pretty good at what we teach at TRI. And I wish him all the best. He actually came in and bought this dip into the Fed event there, that whole health crisis there a couple of years ago, and bought the 88.6 like a boss. I mean, what a level. Holy moly. Hey, really, I wouldn't mind if you had just been accumulating all through here. But, you know, let's say you were a Kevin, or, you know, let's say, no, screw it. I mean, Kevin is Kevin. Nobody else can be Kevin. Let's say you're like that Beamish 78.6. Maybe you saw Kevin do his trade and you're kind of like, okay, well, maybe I can step in off 78.6. Anyway, so it's $5,400. I mean, what a surprise. Oh, that's basically a 10x from 78.6 up to the target, right? 50, 60 bucks. And the interesting thing is if you actually do a chaos level off of this range, notice where we stopped. Boom. 4.669, right at that 50 grand. So I get the impression it was the $50,000. That's a pretty big fat round number that the market was going after there. Anyway, that's not a bad trade. You know? Look what this bank did. Now this bank billed themselves as a crypto bank. Now I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I mean, you can see what it's doing up and down like a horse rose. Talk about crypto winters, eh? But I was long, and this kills me, man. I hate when I see this. But I was long this stock right down here off this double bottom, and I sold everything on a double because I was like, oh, you know what? It's not. Everybody's bugging me about selling halves on doubles. Well, what the hell? I'll just take the whole damn profit. Wow, was that ever a mistake? Boom. But just in comparison, what was that move? Well, that was about 1,400%. So the point being that this is a blue chip banking proxy in the California bank. Everybody and their brother in the public bought into this idea, and it went zooming all the way up to like a couple $100 a share. Just dramatic how much these moves up. So this is what I actually expect to see more of in this next cycle. And frankly speaking, I think Caitlin wants her bank to be these guys. The irony with these guys, though, is that they just, how do you say this? They bought their own infallibility. And that often happens at the top of the market. They just believe that their asset was going to be up here indefinitely. The irony of it all, technically speaking, is we can all see the head and shoulders pattern. So, two Foggenbaums down here. And what a surprise. I mean, the stock's basically done technically what we would have expected. So, really good analogy. In fact, there's a couple crypto stocks, IMIN. I've always loved this one. It's a fun one. It's an old guy that I used to work with years and years ago. Basically I stepped in at about 5-10 cents a share, and we were selling up at 60, 70, 80 cents a share. It was a great trade. Beautiful trade. Worked really well. So unfortunately they've gone and split the stock here, so now all these numbers are all adjusted, so all of this looks all screwed up. I have to go and fix it now. But anyway, the point of the matter here, crypto winter, you can see it in the stock market. Really, when these things start Wing out again, then I'll start getting interested. And that's probably in about, say now, it's about the next 6 months or so. So like I said, time heals all wounds. If anything, what you'll probably find is that these kind of venture stocks, and you can see they're now washed out, bottom end of the range, starting to put in W's. They haven't confirmed yet. Like, probably what I'd like to see is they've rolled the stock back. Now I'd like to see options for directors, shares for debt, that kind of stuff. I would even argue, something like that Coinbase. Holy moly, what a disaster. There were people on this site. I don't think there were people on the site that had friends and family who did buy. What the hell is the symbol of that? Or I think it's coin, isn't it? They did buy this coin, and look at that. It's now literally, and you can see I've just been accumulating as we go down here. But it came out of the gate at like $450, and it's now like $35. Holy crap. So, again, there is crypto winter. And you can imagine there's a lot of people on Wall Street that are very, very embarrassed right now. I actually like the idea of just slowly accumulating. Accumulation plan. So I'm just going to stick to my plan. Typical little old lady, what I like to do. But I'll tell you, it's a bit of a slog here through crypto winter. You have to have conviction of your plan, and you have to just stick to the plan and don't deviate. Now, interesting thing, and then I'll segue out of this over to Paul. I was putting out a bunch of tweets like a week or so ago saying, I really think that this thing should bottom here. We should see some sort of Santa Claus rally. We do know where the CME options boys are sitting at 17 to 18. It was a little bit early in my prognostications. I didn't take the trade through here because nothing really set up. But then the market just dumped all the way down into here. I bought this little W down in here looking for some sort of dead cat bounce. And you can see for a little while we were doing well, and then a big old M comes in here and boosh. So, kind of looking goofy there. Got stopped out. That's the way it goes. I suppose you could argue that this is a big function of how the whole market is operating right now. They always say in bear markets, or in bull markets, everybody makes money. In bear markets, nobody makes money. I do kind of like the bot here. It's interesting how these two candles here are framed exactly off at 25 nicely. And probably for a guy like me, the next technical setup, if this is indeed an ABCD, is I'd like to see some sort of W form through this period here. And then as we go into that 28th, 29th, then we get the follow through up top. One thing that leads me to believe that we have turned the corner is TRI's breadth indicator. Yay! And I actually put a tweet out the other day going, I should probably just listen to the damn breadth indicator and quit sort of front running the market. So our breadth indicator, of course, showing that the whole market just is, it was a trap. And the current correction that you see in the equity markets is not really a surprise if you look at this. In fact, all of these indicators were all heading lower. You can see the M's all over the place. I guess the utility is still hanging in up top there. But things like the S&P 500, Europe, Canadian stocks, Australian stocks, and the S&P 500 and the Dow, for instance, they were making higher highs here, and that's classic divergence. And it was really just a question of when was the market going to finally sort of accept the fact that it was out of phase and start cleaning itself up. And so the corrections that you've seen are recent. It makes sense. And the interesting laugh, Dow now, this red line actually hit zero. I mean, it can't go any lower than zero. Look how these sectors, they're just sitting there in the shitter right now. They're just waiting for the slow indicators to catch up to sort of give us a signal. But one thing that's interesting is that I've noticed that crypto is often a leading indicator of sort of the risk space of our society now. And look what crypto's doing. Hello. That surprised me. First and foremost, we're no longer overbought. We're actually oversold below this 20 line. You see what happened in early November when we pivoted and turned back up. Produced a half decent little rally. Not a great rally, but at least some names popped off. You hear Paul banging out huge wins and stuff through that window, and then we rolled over. We got into a situation where things are looking a little dangerous there. Coming out of that whole Fed and all that, the market just thumped. Like I said, I kind of thought we were going to bottom a little bit earlier and a bit firmer, but nope. And especially with the fact that the U.S. markets are still looking very, very bad. The S&P is still looking very bad. I was actually quite pleased to see that the crypto market is trying to turn back up here. We're now actually going to run a very strict trading plan that just simply says, look at when this thing is crossed back bullish, we will go and buy some Bitcoins. And when it crosses back bearish, we'll sell that position. And I'm just going to see how it does over the coming year. And my hunch is, we had sort of a tentative portfolio running, but we never really had the hard data, so I couldn't really shill you on how awesome this indicator is. But I'm going to be running all the trades and all the data myself to validate that, yes, this is, and I can show you the actual trades themselves. So just be forewarned. Brian just went long the algo setup on Bitcoin there at about, I think it was about 16,800, somewhere in that neighborhood. Whatever yesterday's closing bar was, I'm happy to be long around there. So that is basically in here. So we had the dump, and this dump, probably set up like a bullish div here. Yeah, you can see the bull div was way over here. This low is even higher than these lows. So I don't know whether we actually confirmed. This high is 50.69. That's 54. So yeah, actually that did confirm. And like I said, trading setups, I think I actually like this bot setup, especially, and I think eventually we're going to get our silly Santa Claus rally. It's of course pure opinion, but now I'm actually going to run two different trading plans. First plan is of course my typical trade setups. I love the bot, and I'll always be married to it. And then going forward, I want hard data on the algo. So I'm going to be running side by side, like I said, this algo signal. And that's it's not a strong buy. This is a they have literally thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and we call this like a weak buy signal with the fast crossing above the slow, but the slow still pointing down. Once we actually get to the point, and it's too bad we can't scroll through this, Josh, well, I'll leave the conversation at that. I've been talking for almost about an hour now. Why don't we, with that backdrop, I think probably the most important thing I want to say here is coming out of last Wednesday's show. I was sitting there going, well, we're making higher highs and higher lows, so I'm actually pretty bullish. And Paul made the case that, actually, I think I'm going to be hunting shorts up top here. And I went on, and of course, look what happened, right? Boosh, doosh, doosh, doosh. And I went on Twitter and I specifically said Paul was right. So, if anything, it's great. This is the number one reason why I like working with a team here is that no one person's ever going to be right 100% of the time. And quite often, you go into like trading funks. Probably that guy's triggering me. But you go into trading funks. Yeah, I'm just my personal bent on the market, my opinion, it's not really that valuable right now. Anyway, but I wanted to show you that tweet that I put out from Paul. But Paul, he's seeing the market very, very clearly here. So I'd be curious to see what Paul has in store for us here tonight. I think this was it, where no, I can't remember. Anyway, I put out a tweet and Paul just tweeted back, yeah, I'm a pretty badass trader. You should listen to me more often, Brian.
No.
Yes. You're awesome, dude. So with that intro, no pressure, eh? No pressure.
Yeah.
With that intro, why don't we pop on over to Paul's world and let's see what the hell he sees in the market. Hey, what do you think? Is that a good idea?
Yeah, why not?
All right. I will stop screen sharing. I hope you enjoyed my little rant there. Do yourself a favor and go watch Caitlin's video. I thought she's that definitely was worth an hour and a half of your time. All right, so we've got a big P on the screen. Is Paul going to screen share for us today? Here it comes. There we go. All right, so I will put myself on mute. As you can see, unfortunately, I just don't have camera working today, which is weird because the camera is actually saying that it's on. But I'll put myself on mute. And Paul, you've got the floor. Tell us what the hell's going to happen here.
Yeah, not too much. Not too much, but let's keep going. Weekly results. We didn't have too many trades in Crypto Traders Arena live trading. 7 trades. At that time, 5 closed trades and 2 they are still open. We had 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 stop loss at entry, and a nice profit of 11%. But that was because Stefan had a nice long scalp with a higher risk to reward. That will improve the percentage. Not too many trades. Usually we have 8, 9, 10, even more than that. But it was a bit boring, a bit difficult week. So we sit mostly on the sidelines. And keep in mind, this is only on crypto. I don't put the traditional market. News and updates, same like last week. I spoke last week about this one. We put the daily plan on YouTube. We have a new channel with where we post trades on traditional market. We have a giveaway for the end of the year on Twitter, but nothing more than that. On a very long time frame, this chart you'll see it in every weekly report from now on. Nothing is changing this one. Same chart, same level, nothing to do. But I'll post this in a weekly report because I want to see the big picture. Zoom out really hard. So I want to see where we are in the bigger picture. same level, nothing changed. We are in reload zone close to 78.6 from the, if we put the reload zone from the zero line, we are just below, just above 78.6, just above 14K. For me, it's a really important level. On weekly chart, not too much to tell us on this chart. Just a dead cat bounce at this moment. Nothing new. We are below 2017 all-time highs. Just a small bounce. Yeah, we can bounce a bit more. We can bounce at 18K, even 20K. But let's not forget we are still in a bear market. Until I see a clear W on this one, nothing is changed. And seems like a clear white W. It's far away from today. So we still have a lot of waiting to do to to have a clear W on weekly chart. On the daily chart, nothing is changed from Sunday when I made this newsletter. As you can see, nice W. Yeah, I like that. Nice W. We had the pump, nice Wyckoff check, 18,200 and something. Back down, back down to retest this, to do a bank of check of this W, and now we are at the same level. Is we have higher highs, higher lows on this last move up. Yeah, I like that, but nothing new. I'm waiting at this level. Maybe I could put another long trade. I'm already long on lower time frames, but on daily chart, I need something new. At this point is just a Wyckoff check, and the market is just ranging in this area, waiting for something. I don't know what we are waiting, but the volatility is pretty low. I see a bearish div on daily chart. As you can see, we have a bearish MACD divergence. At least we had that from Sunday, but nothing else. From last week, we had some bullish divergence that give us this nice pump. Now we have a bearish divergence in MACD, but nothing new on indicators. Not too much information on the indicators. On 4-hour chart, I had last week the trade Brian was mentioning in this range. At the top of the range, I was forced by my plan to take this trade. I took this trade, nice 2-to-1 risk to reward, booked the profit at 2-to-1, closed the trade, and now I'm long from Mountain Man. So I have the entry at 61.8, the stop loss at 78.6, and I'm still long. Nothing is changed from. Let me see the chart. If I have the chart, I'll post it. Yeah, you can see nothing new. I'm still in this trade on this swing trade. I'm just waiting. My stop loss is still at the original place at 78.6. I didn't modify anything on this time frame. So I'm long, but that doesn't mean market cannot can't go down. I even posted something like that on. I see a bearish bot on lower time frames. Even on 4-hour chart, we can see. We'll take a look a bit later. Indicators on this time frame, I don't see much. I saw the wheelie is oversold. Some W's and RSI, but that's it. And this bounce. It's just the first bounce. Usually the market, at least Bitcoin, you will see touches the 61.8, the mountain man, gives us a bounce, a strong or a weak one, and after that you will see a nice W after the bounce from 61.8. That could mean we can go all the way down in the long reload zone and then put a W. As you can see on this chart, we have this trend line, a steep one, but it's a trend line and we can play the market. We can wait a W the other side of the trend line to get us in a nice long trade. On overall on this range, we are close to the middle of the range. Usually I like to sit out on the sidelines and wait in the middle of the range. I don't have a clear edge on when I have a range when we are at the middle of the range. It's like being at the POC. You don't want to take a trade at the POC. But I'm long actually, and I'm just waiting. It's my setup, so I have to play this one. Bitcoin dominance on 4-day chart. You can see we made this AB equals CD. We reached the bottom of the range. We bounced. We go back at the long reload zone, and now we are up again at 42. Something on these lines. We are even now. We have the same level 42. So nice bounce. If we confirm this W on 4-day chart, on maybe on 1-day chart, that could mean trouble for altcoins. I'm not touching altcoins looking at this chart. Not at what when I see this big W, I don't touch altcoins. I'm sticking with scalping and day trading on Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum. So Ethereum versus Bitcoin, mm, a different story, but the same confluence with Bitcoin dominance. I was saying from long time ago we are in the short reload zone, and I was waiting for a breakdown. Now we have that breakdown. We are back at the middle of the range. From this point on this chart, is better to wait for a clear direction. In the middle of the range, it's a bit dangerous to assume we'll go down or will go up. Yeah, we had the short reload zone, but we broke down from that level, and now we're retesting the support on the middle of the range. Maybe we can do an AB equals CD, let's say, and that will give us the a retest of this W, this original W of the bottom of the range. Would be a nice AB equals CD. And if we'll get this level, then I'll think from this point, Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin. But at this moment, not I don't have a clear edge. Total 2 is just below the you can see on 4-day chart. We have this trend line, the original one from the top. We are on the left side of the trend line. We have this range. We are at the bottom of the range, below 2017 all-time highs. I don't see any W on this chart. I don't have any, beside location, I don't have any reason to be bullish at this point with altcoins. When I'm looking at this chart, I see just a weak support, a support, but we can broke below, and then we can go even 50, 60, 80% lower than we are at this level. Until I'll see a clear W the other side of this trend line, this original one, I'm not so bullish on altcoin. And we can take some time. You can see this is beginning of the year. May, until May, something like that. We have time to form a nice W. Until the middle of the next year, we can form a wide and nice W. But now we are just on the wrong side of the trend line, at the bottom of the range, below 2017 all-time highs. So I'm not so bullish. I'm just we're definitely altcoins are cheap. Definitely, we have a nice location to buy them, but for a trader or for a swing trader, even for a position trader, I don't have a clear edge. At least looking at the total 2. We have some news, not too much. Keep in mind we are close to the holidays, so Tuesday building permits, and this is actually old one. So Friday we'll have durable goods, personal income, and personal spending. Maybe Friday we'll have some nice news, and maybe we'll start a Christmas rally, like Brian says. I don't know. I have to play level by level. I'll play what I'll see in the chart. Like I said, even at the beginning of this newsletter, I'll pay more attention to this chart. This is a 4-hour chart on Bitcoin dominance. So we had this channel, nice channel. We had a nice CM with bearish divergence. But until I see a clear and wide EM, I'm not touching any altcoin. There are some strong ones, but still, They are in the same category, most of them. So until I'll see a clear M, I'm not touching any altcoins. I'm keeping my focus on day trading, scalping on Bitcoin. Let's take a look at how this chart looks in real time on 4-hour chart. So you can see we had this channel, we had an M, was just a fake out, put a nice W after that, and now we're just ranging. We are trying to form a range, this being the top and this being the bottom of the range. We are ranging in this area, but that doesn't mean we cannot put an AB equals CD and get us all the way up in this area, something like that. Let's just put an AB equals CD just to see, just for fun. Clone this one, and let's just put something. I guess this is the bottom. Yeah, 43, 50, 44, something like that. Until I'll see a clear and wide M, and probably I'll wait for the M to form, break down, and a nice retest to for me to start hunting on altcoins. At this moment, I'm not touching anything. You can see now we broke this uptrend channel, was a steep one, but we just form another parallel channel. As you can see, I just cloned this channel and just put it beside it, and it seems like it's well respected, as you can see. Yeah, I'll keep my eye on 4-hour chart on this on Bitcoin dominance, maybe even higher. I don't know, 12-hour, maybe daily, to see a clear M. Until then, let's keep scalping on Bitcoin. Day trading Bitcoin is best for our portfolio than to long altcoins and get stopped out. Let's go back. I didn't post any. Keep in mind what I shared with you in this chart. I didn't post any ideas on altcoins. Usually, I post 3 or 4 ideas on altcoins, what I see in the market, but this time no. And I'll keeping that way until I'll see a clear EM on Bitcoin dominance. Trading conditions still hard. Uh, Sometimes even damn hard. For me, on day trading, it's 1% risk per trade. Sometimes when I see it's really ugly, I'll put even 0.5% per trade to protect my capital. I don't like to give money back to the market. Yeah, if I put at 1% and I have a nice trade, I could trail that. I could put the stop loss in profit and get a better risk to reward. But why to risk more than 1%? I don't see any point. But that is just me. Let's just take a look at some altcoins just for fun on 4-hour chart, so you can understand why I'm not touching anything. So let's take a look at Litecoin. Is the only one I'm interested on trading, but I need on this one, at least on 4-hour chart, I need a W, a clear W on a long reload zone, maybe below reload zone, but give me a clear W, at least in long reload zone to get me bullish. Yeah, I'm interested in buying some Litecoin, but not at this level. So let's take another altcoin. You can see I don't see any W, not even on 4-hour chart. Same idea in this area. Same idea on AVAX. Same idea on Litecoin. Yeah, it's a potential inverse head and shoulder, but it's not complete yet. I need a breakout on this inverse head and shoulder, a breakout and a retest of the neckline, and maybe if I see some confluence with Bitcoin dominance, I'll try to hunt along. This one, look at this one, it's just broken to new lows. Nothing to do on this one. Same idea on this one. Yeah, we had a nice W, nice pump, but we are back, and we can put an AB equals CD and go even lower. Eagle, same idea, no W. I could go on almost all the altcoins. Ripple, you can see we have a nice location, but no W yet. Most of the altcoins look the same. So until I'll see something clear, why to risk my money and getting stopped out? Nothing to do. So that's why I'm sticking to my plan and waiting on altcoins and day trading on Bitcoin. Even on Bitcoin, it's some days there is damn hard to trade to find some nice setups. But I'm a day trader and I have to trade, so I'll stick with Bitcoin. That's it from my part. Don't forget, I'll always treat trading like a business, and market will treat you like a king. But keep in mind, the first part is most important. If you want to be treated nice, treat trading like a business. Don't put emotions. Respect your plan. Respect your risk management. Keep in mind, we are in a bear market. We are in hard times, ugly price action, especially now before the in the holidays. Big boys, they are not trading Bitcoin now, not even traditional market. Big boys, they are out, they are partying, they are on holidays, liquidity is low. So the market makers, I don't know if they are forced, but usually I notice that in the summer or on the holidays, the market makers, they'll just hunt stop losses. So you'll get stopped out up and down all the way. Even on traditional market, you can see that, but especially on Bitcoin, they will just hunt stop losses up and down and keep doing that. As you can see on Bitcoin chart, all they did, let's just take a look at this one. They just hunted stop losses, took these stop losses and down, took these stop losses up, and now we are just even volatility is out, and we'll probably go up, take some stop losses, go down, take some stop losses. You can see that on lower time frames even better. So you can see up and down, up and down. Nothing to do in this area. That's why I'm keeping my swing trade. I have on this one. I have the long, so I'm just waiting. I didn't move my stop. I didn't do anything. And if you take a look at this one, you can see something a bit different. On when this move down, we just touched the 61.8 on a CME chart. It's a bit different than Bitcoin on Binance versus USDT. So you can see 61.8, and we just had a nice bounce. Nothing to do at this point for me. I don't have anything to do. That's it from me, Brian. If it's something else or some, maybe they didn't like it. That's why. No, they don't. Yeah, yeah. I'll close the screen sharing. From Colin, I got the idea looking at the Bitcoin dominance years ago when I was watching his show.
Ah, yeah, there we go. So actually, I was
That's
muted
why I
over
put
there
it in
on YouTube,
my weekly
so you
newsletter.
couldn't hear me talking. Let's try that again. I was saying that Paul's input was very, very valuable, and it was cool to see everybody on YouTube was completely hush while Paul was talking. So that was perfect. Um, I just wanted to add a dovetail to Paul's conversation about the dominance. And this is a fun chart that one of our site OGs, Colin from Colin's Pump Chaser Zone fame and Dump Chaser Zone fame, I suppose is too. He started to do this last cycle, and actually I thought it was a very very valuable study. Kind of greens altcoins happy, reds altcoins not happy, and you can almost use really simple market structure to sort of tell you when each camp is sort of in control. And it was interesting that just recently, as Paul was pointing out, gee whiz, that's a big fat W that just came in on that darn dominance. And of course, did anything happen here through November, early December that might encourage people to maybe do some tax loss selling in the altcoin space? And how do you tell Taxman that your coin is zero? Can you actually get a print of a zero print? I always wondered about that with Trex when they stole my coins. Anyway, so the point is, huge W on that dominance, and as Paul was pointing out, unfortunately, that's not really a great image for altcoin enthusiasts right now. So I suppose if we can get some sort of some sort of bearish structure coming in on this, then we can start getting rah-rah bullish of alts. I'd also say, too, that historically, typically, ETH loves to bottom right at the end of the year and rally into the new year. I don't know whether you guys have seen that in years gone by. And you know, one thing what I did want to add to the equation was I popped on over and I started to look at the options. And I noticed that like you can actually start buying January 2025 call options on crypto. And this, remember, this is that Silvergate Bank that I told you about, now $16. That was over $200 that last cycle peak. You can actually start accumulating. And one strategy I'm actually most interested in is actually coming in, and I can write like the $30 put option. Well, I mean, even now, right at $6.79, $16.79 on the stock, I could write like the $15 put and collect $7. And if I get exercised on that $15 put, I'll buy the stock at $15, knowing that it's going to go back up to $200 next cycle, or maybe even higher. And my cost of ownership on the stock, if I can get filled at, say, $7, is actually going to be $8 a share. I could write like the $30 put and get paid $18. And if I do get exercised, and I would expect it being so deeply in the money that I would get exercised, and that makes my ownership of the stock like $12, right? $11.80 just by going and writing that put option now. So I'm very, very interested in that. It's kind of cool sitting here listening to Paul. I had good old Caitlin, bounding around in my head while Paul was talking, and just thinking about, I don't think it's quite ready yet. Kind of like what Paul's saying. I don't think we're quite there just yet. But if we, this is one of the popular studies that I put together. What do these cycles look like? I thought it was interesting on the Twitter feed. I noticed somebody put this tweet out. This is the problem with this space, and this is the problem with capitalism. Is this guy's actually done some very, very good work. Nice and clean. I've told you guys repeatedly, you should all look at this and go, I remember that Beamish guy says that Simon Dixon guy. He says anytime Bitcoin corrects 80%, you just go and buy it. Just don't be stupid. Just go and buy it. So you can see the 14 bear 86% correction to the ultimate low. Are you going to hit the actual low? Probably not. 84% in that 18 correction. Now we're at 77%. All we got to do is go about another, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7% lower, and boom, we're there.
What a 50% cut from the current prices.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, the question is 65,000, I think 69,000 was our peak, right? Hey, yeah. Talk about an asset being manipulated. Look at that. Where's that price? I mean, do you guys see what they printed as the price of Bitcoin at the top? You can't tell me this asset isn't being manipulated. Look at this number at the top. 69,000 even? That doesn't happen unless somebody specifically wants to print that number. So, I mean, what an ironic sort of twist. You know, I've often said this about Bitcoin. It's quite dramatic, these pivot points, if you actually look at them. If you see a big, fat, round number like that and the market pivoted off it, you have to think that that was intentional. But anyway, so, I mean, just, simple math. If we go 69,000 times point, let's say, 85% correction. So 15, 10,350. I think that makes sense. Anywhere in that area, I think, is fine. And, about 150% premium to those absolute bottom cost producers. I think that makes sense too. That's pretty typical for commodities. So put it all together. Anyway, the point that I made, and it just made me think, is that we should be building a leaps. That's what these are, right? This is January 2025. You can buy an option, basically, that's good for the next, 2 years? I still think we're about 6 months early. But I tell you, man, this is the way I think you can make just an absolute ridiculous fortune. And just think about this, right? Probably that coin is another good example. I don't know whether they have options. This stock was over $400 a share at the peak. So I'm not going to say it's going to go to the new highs, but let's say it just goes 50%. Right? There's the 2025. That's, 50% of $400 is $200. I could go buy the $50 call for $1,400 right now, and that $50 call will be worth $150 of intrinsic value at $200. $150. That's 10x on this option. I don't know. Maybe it goes down below $10 into the next 6-8 months. I don't know. I wouldn't mind buying, maybe, when we look at this study, the long-term options that I'd really like to concentrate on. Notice after the halving event, where do we do this? Let's go date. Halving event to peak. That was about, and this is a 2-week chart. So that's 60 weeks, a little bit over a year. Halving event to peak, that was 37. So that's 37 2-week bars, right? So that's 60.74. Well, that's about a year and a half. And then halving to peak, 39. So you can kind of see, and it's interesting how this peak was, that's only 23. Anyway, somewhere in that area, maybe mid, and keep in mind this 2 bars, so that's 60.72, right? So 72 weeks or 52 weeks, so you need about a year and a half following the halving event to the actual cycle peak. About a year and a half. So if I look at those January 2025 options right now, that's right there. I think, like I said, if I can buy that leap, that's 19. We want, 37. So we want to sort of wait for that, I'd say the middle to the end of August, but really the January 2026 option. That's probably the one to look to buy. I'll keep an eye open on the Bitcoin ETFs, although, the regulators, they really don't want to have a Bitcoin ETF. Probably half of the reason Wall Street doesn't want to have a Bitcoin ETF, because if it does go up like this, then a lot of people can make a lot of money on options. And remember, Wall Street actually writes the options, and they don't want to have their lunch handed to them. So, but some of these stocks, I don't know whether you believe whether coin's actually going to make it, but I would just simply say WD GAN. I don't know where the hell the bottom is. Maybe it's $10. Maybe it's $5. Who knows? My hunch is that this is pretty typical cyclical stuff. And, if this is the bottom, 35, and the old high is 400, well, probably odds are the stock's going back to 200 and change. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing some more work on these long-term equity options, the leaps, and seeing whether there's a nice shopping list of these things. You know, a nice diversified basket. But, you know, as Caitlin sort of pointed out, don't kid yourself. This stuff works on very predictable 4-year cycles. And she was going on and on and on about how wonderful the Lightning Network is and that Bitcoin is scalable. And you ain't seen nothing yet, which is interesting. So, all right. Now, there's somebody in our crew that has been mysteriously quiet here this evening. Mr. Ben, do you have anything to add to this conversation? I don't know. It's up to you.
Hey.
What are you
no,
thinking here?
nothing in particular. Yeah, I've actually got a pretty sore throat, so I can probably only get a few sentences out before I start coughing. So,
All right.
yeah,
Excuses,
but
excuses.
yeah, I really enjoyed Paul's presentation, and that Bitcoin dominance kind of tells a lot of the story
Yeah,
of
unfortunately,
what's
alts.
going to
I
take
mean,
place.
you know, the sad part about it is at the end of these cycles, they always seem to end the same way with some horrific bankruptcies. And actually, surprisingly enough, you know, like, I don't know whether any of you in the audience remember when the gold market bottomed in the late 90s, and there was a horrific scandal there. And there always is at the tops and bottoms of these cycles. There's always some horrific scandal. And in that story, there was a company, the company was called Briex. And in that particular story, the CFO of the company mysteriously happened to fall out of a helicopter while the helicopter was traversing through the rainforests of Indonesia. And he was never heard from again. And because the forest was so deep, they could never recover his body. That's awfully suspicious, eh? So I'm actually surprised. All right, take it easy, Paul. And if you have any questions for Paul, by all means, feel free to post them in the hangout there as well too. Actually, I think we have the monetization on this video here. So my apologies if those YouTube ads are irritating. I know some YouTubers, they put on like a video that's you can't skip through the commercials. I specifically said you could skip through the commercials if you wanted to, so don't hate me for that. I suppose we also have our super chat, so if you feel like making a contribution for this show, we wouldn't hold it against you. So there is all that. And then also too, if I'm not mistaken, we still have the ETH address. Remember, the whole purpose of this show was to help fund the Decentraland booth for TRI. And actually, that would be interesting to take a look at how that thing is done. What was it? That's Mana. Where's what's her face? Paris Hilton. Is she out there promoting Mana? If anything, it's kind of good that we just sort of waited and we've collected. Maybe this thing will get super cheap for us, and you know, wicks and tails like to be eaten. I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking to shop for our Manas back down against these lows. Anyway, got off on a bit of a tangent there. Sorry, everyone. I guess the point here, and it was really interesting. I have to say, I've totally forgot about Quadriga. Quadriga was a perfect example of basically, you know, a classic embezzlement story. Same thing as Mt. Gox, and she actually. Oh, hello. I do believe somebody got tripped up. Now, how the hell do I get rid of that? Hey, there you go. Oh, cool. Actually, I was hoping to buy some of that. Where is that? That's not this thing. What was that? That was, let's see, where's my crypto? There's a gentleman on the site who is very bullish of this, although this is my stock list. Where is the crypto list? Crypto, where are you? Maybe it's one of these. these. Oh, here we go. I don't really know the fundamental story that well, although I'm told it's a pretty good story. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I wanted to buy some of this. Actually, this is a good example of basically what I do. So I'm building out a portfolio of little old lady positions for the next cycle. And this one, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, we this is a cool story. I mean, I'm not shilling the idea. If you buy it, great. If you don't buy it, I'm not going to be offended. But Zug was interested in this name, and actually it has a much longer history than just this. But I had noticed, big, wide, double bottom, and then you had this crazy-ass, insane candle that sparked up, and ironically enough, that actually confirmed this big W. Was that just some sort of fat finger liquidity sweep? I don't know, but it probably cleaned out a lot of the orders on the order book. So I was like, you know what? I think I want to go little old lady. So, totally just nibbling away. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to buy some more even lower. But I threw my bid in at 78.6 on this thing. And as you can see, I just got filled. So, Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. So, it's interesting. Look at that. I'm already up a penny. I had my order at 470. Woohoo! I'm rich. Anyway. No idea whether this thing's going to perform, but it was one of my names that I'm interested in. And actually, these names are holding in. Nobody's really broken down in earnest yet, which is kind of good. The sushi, right against the lows. If any of them ones are going to break, it's going to be this guy. Notice he's trying to form an inside bar reversal. It's interesting. Wicked diamond. We're probably going to see this thing fail, but nonetheless, my stop is. That's what I thought the alert was, that these things were stopping me out. But that guy's still hanging in there. Matic, this one, you can see if we start losing these lows, it could be trouble. Hasn't broken down yet. Uni, I actually did hop off of because we broke through this low, and I would like to actually see it work its way back down here. I'll buy it back then. And I was interested in this Filecoin, but it broke down, and so I walked away from it. So I'm waiting for sort of a new sort of base to come in. This is probably a good analogy of Paul's sort of like, do we really want to be hunting altcoins right now? This is a pretty tough market. All of these kind of positions for me are right now not really trades per se, more like bottom fish. Well, technically it is a trade, but not like futures trading. Like I trade futures on a daily basis. This is my opening range trading that I'm doing with Chris right now. Very different animal altogether. This is what I would consider trading. Right now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to accumulate. I'm trying to accumulate as much in the crypto space. And kind of like what I was saying there a moment ago, I kind of like the idea of starting to accumulate some long-term call options on this stuff. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. So, interesting. Zug, I'm in now with ya. If you're watching this, Zug, I pulled the trigger at my 78.6. So anyway, started to accumulate a little bit of that with that. All right, so what time is it? 7:38. I think you got a fantastic summary. What's versus BTC? But it's versus BTC. I'm not quite sure what you're... Oh, what are you saying here? You might want to check out DGB. Digibyte? I haven't looked at Digi in forever. DGB. I would imagine they probably all look very similar. So, yeah, it's not a bad floor. Probably you'll know that these things are officially trending higher when we start doing things like W out on other sides of trend lines. So, actually, and I do like when this happens. This is a really good analogy of the market will break the trend line, then you can see how it walks its way back down. In this particular case, it lost the trend line again. Then it breaks the trend line, then walks its way down, then says, okay, well, maybe I'll W out. A little bit of a W that might have head faked some people into this thing, and then boom, back down against that trend line. These are probably the kind of names, if you are trying to pick bottoms. If you believe in Digi, and I've had a few people on the site over the years that have liked Digi a lot, and you wanted to just start accumulating, you might even like maybe say, well, I'm a big fan of Foggenbaum, so if we start hitting 2.618s down here, I'll start accumulating something like that. Where's 2.618? All right, not even on the screen. That's not a good sign. What do we do there? Chaos, boosh. It's on there. How do I have this chart? Oh, I have it set up log, so that means I have to set this log. Boosh. There we go. Yeah. So that's not a bad level. Notice how she actually put in a nice inside bar reversal right off of that level. So, interesting. It is a V bottom. V bottoms like to be tested, so be aware of that. I mean, the good part about Digi is that I think it does have a relatively good fundamental story. The problem with Trex is it's Trex. I don't know whether you've ever been on Trex or know about Trex. Bitterex Bill, and frankly, I'm actually surprised how Bitterex Bill has been able to dodge all the bullshit. He literally. And I don't know whether it was intentional or whether the regulators told him to do it, but he basically kicked all the Canadian customers right off of his site, which is such a shame. It was a nice, easy place for me to have crypto and trading and stuff, and just turned into one shit show after another at that place. So, I suppose you know what this looks like a lot is this looks like Litecoin. I don't know whether you've ever seen a Litecoin chart over long term. It does a lot of action like this. I wouldn't also be surprised too if at the end of this move in shitcoins, kind of like what Paul's kind of warning you about, is the crypto winter can be bad in Bitcoin where it goes down 80 some odd percent, and it's typical in the sort of legacy stock indexes. Same thing. The venture market just goes absolutely to zero. But the big indexes, they have a 20-30% correction, but they don't go completely just right off the board. So this kind of action would be very typical at the very end of one of these horrific sort of crypto winter kind of scenarios. So don't be surprised if you have to see something like that here. In fact, as Paul was sort of saying earlier, just think liquidity pools. Half of the reason why this thing went up here was probably that was a wicked liquidity pool. And I might make the same argument. You might see the same thing off of this low. Maybe it has to do something like that. I don't know. So, yeah. I don't mind a nice notice. We got a little bit of a intersection here. Well, put a little finger there. Boom. There you go. Boom, boom, boom. And then that would just be it riding down this trend line. And believe it or not, it can have crazy ass action like that. And notice where that intersection comes in. Right? That's basically right down in here. Maybe even off of that. Well, even off of that low now, eh? Yeah. So there's your original technical bottom right there. Obviously it looks a lot bigger because this is log scale, but that is your bottom right there. And actually, going forward, right, what we want to see is we want to start seeing all of these sort of higher lows and higher highs kind of idea, knowing that, hey, okay, we got something to work with. I remember specifically being in the lounge with that Kevin that I made reference to right in here. And this was such a cool time to be in crypto right there. And I remember there was this little girl in California. She was one of these cultists, and she, kind of, all right. And keep in mind, I would not recommend anybody do anything on Trex. I just happen to have this chart up here for conversation purposes. Anyway, this was the trade in crypto, and notice, again, it was after the halvening event, right? So if we go back to the halvening event was there in June of 16. So basically 6 months after the halvening event, and halvening event happens in here, and the whole space firms up, and woohoo, what a rally! And it's this, like talking about buying those long-term call options, right? So it's this window that we want to try and have all those calls all sort of on the books, because it'll be like a 6-8 month window. And the worst part about it, right, this will happen and everybody will just be in absolute shell shock. And then, of course, the public is, hey, pro football players are telling you to buy Digi. Should you buy? I'm in! All that bullshit, So this is what you got to hunt for. So Del Moody, let's just call a spade, right? Does this right now look like this? I don't think so. What I'm worried about is this right here does kind of look like this. And we need one more puke out, right? And it might just be, keep in mind, it's interesting. You listen to Caitlin, and she's like, these cycles are very normal. And in this, we are in the worst part of the cycle. This is the part of the cycle, like right here. Remember, Mike Hearn rage quit. Actually, that's not here. That's here. Mike Hearn rage quit right there. Right? Literally suicide hotlines. This was... trying to think of other references that you guys can remember. The Phoenix hack. I don't know whether you guys remember Phoenix, but Phoenix was hacked through here, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, that might have been a bit later, so no, that might not be the right reference. I do remember the Mike Hearn rage quit. That was sort of the tell that we were at the bottom. That was incredible to watch. Here, most of the technical analysts were actually extremely bearish. And there was one guy in particular, his name was Tyler Jenks, and he was all about hyperwaves. And he was very, very popular in the space, and he basically said that Bitcoin had to go to $1,000. So there weren't a lot of people that were going to stand in front of him, but the space was insanely bearish. It's all going to zero kind of thing. So we are basically in that window now. And the irony from a guy like me is when we're up top here, then I know I can't buy anything, because I know that if I buy it, I'm breaking all of my rules, and what'll end up happening is I'll look back a year or two later and go, why the fuck did I buy that up there? It's so stupid. And also too, this business that we're in and what I'm doing right now, most of you guys that are involved in this space, you don't understand from a regulatory perspective. This is incredibly dangerous what I'm actually doing. But the irony of it all is that the regulators, they've been sort of like castrated over the past 10, 20 years. To the point where they're almost afraid to flex their muscle. Like I remember back in the 70s and 80s, the regulators, man, you couldn't do anything without permission from Big Brother. There's a great story from the guy who owns Interactive Brokers about options and how he had to enter in his orders. The regulators insisted that he had to enter in his options trades in a very specific way. They had to be entered through a keyboard. So that way we could slow him down a little bit, that kind of stuff. And he had some interesting solutions. But they used to like raid his offices and stuff like that. Like newsletter writers and advisors back last century, I mean, it was a tough slog. You constantly were under the gun. And I've told you guys stories like from an investment advisor's perspective. If you ever were taken to court from a client, the judge would literally just say, okay, who's the customer? You are? Okay. Broker, you're that guy. All right, broker, give him back his money. It doesn't matter how much he lost, just give it back to him. And broker, you get a $100,000 fine and a lifetime ban from the securities industry. Oh, you don't like that? All right, let's double the fine. And that's just the way it was. You didn't really have any ifs, ands, or buts. And a lot of what happened in the securities business is they actually created like internal control. So in Canada we have like the Investment Dealers Association, and that's sort of like the internal police, because they never wanted these cases to ever go to court. So the IDA would step in and do it because they didn't want the negative publicity of brokers being taken to court. And of course, judges always side with the clients over the brokers. But it's weird. In this internet, YouTube-y world, that kind of disappeared. And my hunch is I wouldn't be surprised if we actually start seeing that kind of stuff come back. And, you know, this SBF doofus, I mean, he doesn't help. He will almost expedite that process. It's interesting that the SEC guy, Gensler, kind of he's kind of caught. He kind of got caught with his pants down because it almost is being perceived that the regulators are so corrupt that they were just basically bought and they became puppets. And that's basically what happened and what caused the 2008 financial crisis, is the regulators just sort of turned a blind eye to it all, which is, you know, it doesn't help society in the end. So I've taken the approach of this as the securities guy. I will never tell you what to buy or sell, ever. I just won't. I'll teach you the process. What do you think, Paul? Do I do a pretty good job of teaching you the process?
Yeah, you did with me.
Good. That's good. Ben, what do you think? You learning the process?
Yep. That's it.
Well, there's a resounding endorsement. Anyway, I mean, I'll teach you the process. I'll teach you, you know, like on the site, I show people like a dining set. And I'll say, you know, this is the shrimp fork. You want to use it to eat steak? Fine, but just know that it is a shrimp fork. So anyway, the point being, I think all of us should acknowledge, and, you know, cool part about it, dealing with the gang here, is this is the way I would look at the story and present it. You know, I really like, and I've shown you before, the way that Ben, where the hell is that? I think it's on a different tab. The way Ben put the picture together. Again, you know, mathematical. I know a lot of you guys like the mathematics of this. Same story. So it's not rocket science, but at the same time too, if we can teach you the process and teach you to think on your own, well, you can make your own decisions. And, you know, the problem here, though, is that a good buy is a good buy is a good buy. It'll have three key components, right? Location, indicator confirmation, price structure. You know, we just don't have that in the market right now. And got location. So the key there, though, is there's an old adage in the market. The markets can remain illogical far longer than any of us can remain solvent. So I don't really like people to just, you know, stop at location and then just go bet the farm, because the market might just sit there for months, maybe years on end. You don't know. So that's why I really like the location, indicator confirmation, price structure. It increases the odds that you'll actually have a half decent trade. And then, like I said before, I mean, like this W here, I would imagine there will be a W that comes in here, this W that comes in here. You pull up all the indicators and you're like, yep, they're all pointing up. And, a good trade is a good trade is a good trade. Problem is, we're not at a point where this stuff is a good trade. And if we just go to a daily chart here, actually another way, great Moody, that'll help you regardless of whether you look at it on Trex or not, of course, is the nice simple moving average system. So you'll know that this guy's sort of getting ready to go when 13 EMA crosses back above 30 SMA on the weekly chart. Is it cheap? Yeah, probably. In fact, here we just put on a regular scale so you can go, holy wow, is that ever cheap? Is it cheap? Yeah. And actually, this is exactly like that Bitcoin tweet that I put out recently. Cheap, but still trending down. And you just got to be slow and steady. All right. Well, I don't know whether that was constructive or not, but I hope that helped you a bit. All right. We are coming up at the top of the hour. I didn't really see too many requests today, which I was a little surprised about, but nonetheless, it is what it is. Kind of what Paul's telling you, and hopefully you're hearing that message from me too. If you're going to dollar cost average, awesome, right? There's nothing wrong with that at all. And that's sort of like just coming in here. You can call it dollar cost averaging. You could call it nanny nibbling. That's a great description of a whole investment methodology that our level 1 instructor has put together, implementing this concept that I used to use with my elderly lady customers when I was a retail broker, the little old lady risk management strategy. But it just simply says don't put too much money into any idea, and if you do go and put few percent of your portfolio into a name, and you're going to follow that approach, then really you're just going to sit on it and just go play canasta, or go garden, or go weave a basket, or something along those lines. So that's a perfectly fine approach, and we're not chasing anymore, as this chart clearly points out. But at the same time, too, we're not trending higher, so slow and steady wins the race. Kind of like what I just did there. That's funny. You guys just were privy to that. I mean, I just went and bought some altcoin off the bottom end of its range. Classic nanny nibble little old lady strategy kind of purchase. So go figure. I guess to wind up tonight, maybe we'll just pop on over to the spreadsheet and do a little bit of updating. I suppose it's good that there's no sort of, if anything, this spreadsheet is a really good analogy of why I don't think it's really in your best interest to get into the business of actually predicting what's going to happen from week to week to week to week. Here is what actually happened. Here is what we thought was going to happen. My hunch is we're more wrong than we are right. I think Paul just is like, screw it, man. I'm a bull. I don't give a shit about predicting the market. But, there are some yellows and there are some greens. So interesting how, it looks like Paul caught that green. So way to go there. And there's a big green here. He was sort of almost green that time. I will say, and this is half of the reason why I did this, is that I don't actually think it's in your best interest to try and predict what's going to happen. You end up 9 times out of 10 being wrong. And most people are. I mean, this is why you don't have people in the stock market doing this prediction game for too long. Because after a while, your style will go out of favor. It won't be in sync with the market state. And then you start making predictions and every single one is wrong and you look like a doofus. And that's why, you go out and turn on CNBC. You don't have a lot of people that sit there month after month after month constantly saying this is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen, because nobody can do it. Nobody has a crystal ball. Now, having said that, let's pull out our crystal balls and let's see if we can prove how wrong we'll be next week. So, who wants to go first? I guess, Ben, I think you were the rightest out of all of us, so way to go there. What do you think's gonna happen next week?
I don't know. Maybe I'll stick with the zero.
Oh,
Uh,
another zero. All right. Jeez. All right. Tell you, talk about crypto winter, eh? Jesus, can't buy a break in this space. What do you think, Paul? Do we go Uber bull now?
Yeah, Ben is just playing safe. Let's make sure I'm wrong +2.
+2. Damn. All right. If I'm gonna be wrong, I might as well be wrong in style, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I like your attitude. And the cool part about it is that Paul, day in, day out, Paul constantly is showing us, man, he is very good at trading setups and just trading his plan. It's beautiful to watch in action. I'm still holding out for 18,000, 17,500 up to 18,000 area. So now it's 16.8. And considering we're running out of time, because basically the options expires next Thursday, I have to actually put a 2 in here, because that's the only way we're going to get up there is if we have some big honkin' rally, right? 10% would be 1,600. That would take us up to about 18,000, eh? 18,200. So, call me crazy, but I do think that they are going. I mean, let's just go check again. Maybe that open interest is gone. I don't know. Just for fun. What am I basing this logic on? I'm basing this logic, if you can call it that. Maybe it's more just wishful thinking. I'm not quite sure what happens if you just go BTC, because I'm not sure which one it is here. Bit mining. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Futures. Currencies. It's cool how, yeah, there's Bitcoin is actually now in the currency list. And actually, it's interesting. Go listen to Caitlin about how people are actually using Bitcoin now to settle fiat money moves. And what used to take like literally days, weeks through the banking system is now literally happening almost in real time. So it is actually taking over the system as we speak. And what is also interesting too is as that's happening, of course, the FUD and and it's probably being done on purpose. All this sort of public media talk is about how horrible Bitcoin is right now, right? And how terrible it is. Now it should be regulated and all that shit. And yet she's actually saying that, the Lightning Network, it's actually coming alive. You better get used to it. The interesting thing is she also said that too, that it's in the back end. So ironically enough, you may be using the Lightning Network to settle transactions. You may never even know that you were using Bitcoin to settle that transaction. So anyway, 8 days till expiry here. Interesting, 12:30. I thought it was the 29th that they said before, but they're saying 12:30, so that's Friday, basically in a week and a half. And the put options are the options that the institutions primarily write. Retail, and especially in the commodities field, retail wouldn't write calls. Excuse me, wouldn't write puts. Now, it's interesting what's going on here. We had said that 18,000 and 17,500 were the heaviest open interest in the puts. But I don't see that data here. I wonder what I'm missing. What have I done here? Looks like 1650s. There was a bunch there. That's interesting. The open interest. I don't know. Has this changed? Is this different? Huh. That's a little surprising. Might be looking at something wrong here. Anyway, I know previously there was a lot of open interest in the 18,000s, and now it says there's nothing there. Maybe we'll leave this conversation for next week. That's a little surprising. Something's going on here that I'm not catching on to. Anyway, So this contract, and I think it was interesting. I even heard some other industry people saying that this contract expiry should be a big one. Also too, crypto unfortunately has a bad habit of pooping on the kids on Christmas, so we might see some fireworks around that. I'm a little surprised what I'm looking at here. Something doesn't seem right, but maybe I'll talk about it in the daily brief on Friday with the site people. So, okay, well that we'll put that on the back burner for the time being. I've gone and thrown my neck in the noose here, though. I still think, call me crazy, I'm still looking for that rally. But, man. If anything, I'm just hanging out with Paul this week. All right, closing thoughts. Any closing thoughts from you, Ben? What do you got there, Ben? You said, wouldn't it be funny if we got a hyperwave this go round? What are you thinking there? Is that something we want to talk about?
Oh no, I just thought I'd throw it out there because I feel like it was such a big conversation last time that maybe it just had too many eyes on it.
Do you remember
And
that?
yeah, the irony is that maybe this time we get a round trip all the way back down to where it took off around about that $10,000 level. But
Yeah.
Tyler Jenks is no longer with us, so
yeah, isn't that and it's actually wow. So that is interesting. Cool. Did you draw this out, or did you get it from somebody online?
I took someone else's just the hyperwave theory and just chucked on some lines on the Bitcoin chart just now. I haven't read the book or anything, but
that is interesting. Good point. All right, so closing thought. Ben's like, screw it. We're all going to hell in a handbasket. But, I would say that this is probably what should happen to mark the bottom. I've shown you, the cost of production from the huge mining operation guys. And if anything, I'm almost interested to go and start picking up calls on that person. But why don't we save that for another show down the road? We're already over time here. So, other than maybe Mr. Jenks will be proven correct this go round, any other thoughts that?
Send some positive thoughts and well wishes to Brian and Liam tomorrow. Hope you have a great day.
I appreciate that. I mean, you can see the weather here in Vancouver. I don't really like to drive on the roads when it's this cold.
That's right.
So he and I am probably just going to do like a video call visit, which he's not going to like at all.
Yeah.
But last thing in the world I want to do is get into a car accident right before Christmas.
Sure.
So, but I appreciate it. The well wishes are always appreciated. I love the fact that you think about me and Liam all the time, Ben. I really appreciate that. Paul, Romanian mountain moon man. What the hell do you think? What's some words of wisdom that you can leave these good people with?
Nothing new. You know me. Just respect your risk management and play level by level. We are still in the same range. Nothing new for me. We are in a bear market, hard mode, play safe, save your portfolio for better levels.
All right.
If you're a day trader, nice. Scalp, trade, because that's your job. If you're not a day trader, sit on the sidelines and wait. I don't know, for investments for a weekly W on altcoins.
All right. Well, definitely sage advice. And any life lessons that you want to pass on to these good people?
No.
No.
No, I'm just a stupid day trader.
Okay. Anyway, it'd be interesting. I don't know what a Romanian Christmas looks like. That'd be kind of interesting.
Really nice.
Yeah. So, best to. Oops, sorry. Best to the fam, both of you. Of course, the little ones. Hopefully, you'll give them lots of Santa wishes and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And they have a good holiday. So. All right, everybody. I think we'll leave it at
Thank you.
that. Maybe Adam, if you could reach out to Colin, maybe we should have Colin on Daily Brief in the coming week or so. That'd be kind of fun. I've asked him to come on every once in a while and show us that Gann chart. Okay, have yourselves a great evening, everybody. PMA for the win. All the best. Hugs and kisses. And the only thing left for, I think the Mountain Moon Man needs to take us on out of here tonight. What's a hearty goodbye from a Mountain Moon Man kind of guy? The only thing for us to say is,
Bye for now.